The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch UK Radio or its affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised. You're listening to Paranormal Concept right here on Parasearch UK Radio with your host, Paul Rook.
And good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Paranormal Concept Show. I'm your host, Paul Rook, and tonight I'm joined in the studio by the ever-lovely Kerry Greenaway. Hi, Kerry.
Hello, Paul. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. How are you? Are you over your cold?
Yeah. No, I'm really, really full. And I think I'm starting to get over that cold. Yay! 4
Fantastic.
weeks. That's all it took.
Only 4 weeks. Oh, dear. I don't know. Well, tonight we are going to be going over some of what we had a guest on last year in May, I believe it was, and we was talking about his antique museum. So we've asked Neil Packer to come back and talk about how far he's progressed from then. So hello, Neil.
Hi, thanks for inviting me back to the show.
No problem. We're just really intrigued on how you've progressed from where we was last year. So for those that don't remember, talk about a little bit about yourself and who you are, how you got into the paranormal, and where the idea of your Haunted Antiques Museum come from.
Okay, I used to run my own venue company, ghost hunting venues, going all around the country. But I quickly got bored.
Yeah.
We buy items that we're drawn to. I think we're guided, and that's what our spirit guides do. They're there to guide us. So we're guided to the objects that are going to work for us, and that's what we've been doing.
Okay, and have you had much success on communicating with spirit through the artifacts?
Yeah, we have loads. We don't tend to use Ouija boards now because we've gone away from them. Not because we're scared. I don't think they actually work personally, but that's my own ideas. But we've had voices come through, we've had taps come through. But we do a live feed every Monday evening from my museum, as it is at the minute, to see what the viewers pick up.
Yeah.
Some of the comments are amazing, and it's interesting the varied comments we get, and they're turning out to be really successful, the live feeds.
Have you tried using a Ouija board as one of your artifacts?
I do actually have a Ouija board that's got an attachment to it. Yes.
And have you communicated in any way to that attachment, or without actually using the board?
Yeah, we have.
Okay. And is that on one of your live feeds?
No, that was from a long time ago. That was just me and my team, the Para Angels. We used that. We actually found this Ouija board at a location we're at.
Yeah.
So we thought, we'll give that a go. And there was a spirit attached to it, and that Ouija board's actually in my museum.
Fantastic. Cool. So how do you now get your artifacts? Do you still just go straight to the antique stores, or do you just have people send you stuff now?
It's mainly from the antique centre. I am going to start going around other antique shops locally.
Yeah.
But the good place is car boot sales.
Yeah.
Got quite a few items from car boot sales. We just some unknown reason, were drawn to this particular stall. And it's not just me, it's the other guys as well. We say, well, we've got to have that, like, I've got the Victorian doctor's bag from a car boot sale, and that's got 2 spirits attached to it.
Okay. So what would you say would be your favourite piece that you've got in the museum?
I think there's 2. I've got a clown. I think there was about 7 clowns from an orphanage. One of these clowns has got a boy attached to it. His name's Bob. He's quite a celebrity in our museum now. He's communicated through a couple of mediums. So he's very popular, and he comes into the house. He plays. He's been seen in the house. My other favourite one is a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Which I got from the antique centre. That's got a fascinating history.
Okay. So do you look into the history of all the artefacts as well that you get?
We try to as far as we can.
Yeah.
But it's very difficult.
I can imagine. But I think it's going to be like very rewarding when you do obviously discover a really good, interesting story behind that artefact.
Yeah.
And then to have it confirmed as well by a spirit.
Yeah, it's finding time as well, because I work full time.
Yeah.
But if the viewers are from the live feed come up with names and places and dates, and that gives us somewhere to start. So we'll work back from there.
Yeah, that's so the live feeds are becoming more and more popular with the paranormal community.
I think they've got the place. I don't necessarily agree with everything being live feed.
Yeah.
But for what I'm doing, it fits, and it gives people all around the world. I've got lots and lots of viewers from the United States. It gives them a chance or a place to use their senses, and feel free to say whatever they're picking up, no matter how silly they might think it sounds.
Yeah.
But it all goes towards building up a picture of each item.
Yeah. No, I'm really fascinated, and I would love to come down and visit the museum at some stage. I mean, before the show, you were saying that you're about to move premises. So my museum is actually my carport. I enclose my carport. Yeah.
I've outgrown that now, so I have been looking for premises in Hinckley, which is where I live.
Yeah.
Friday I found a suitable place, and this morning actually the estate agent sent me the details to sign. So
fantastic.
During the course of this week I will be signing for new premises. It's a lot bigger. It's got history.
Yeah.
It was the bakery of the town, and it is haunted.
Brilliant. That's the sort of place you need.
So also I've had lots and lots of people asking if they can come.
Yeah.
Like yourself, and in my carport it's not really convenient.
Yeah.
Because it is small. But this new place will be open to the public.
Do you think that? I mean, I don't know what the place is like, but would you be willing to open it up to small paranormal teams to do overnight vigils as well? Is that a possibility?
I would be opening up to serious paranormal groups, not.
Oh yeah, I mean like paranormal investigation teams, not actually event things. Not
event companies.
No, because that'd be really good, really interesting.
Yeah.
Because I mean, not only have you got the artifacts in the museum, but your whole building as such is going to be almost like your own giant artifact, isn't it? Because it's haunted as well. Yeah, that'd be quite good. Well, I think.
Yeah. That will be happening this year.
Fantastic. So it's all going really well.
Speed it's moving, it won't be too far away.
Yeah, I did. I did look into. I think when in social media they were talking about the haunted doll that Lee Steer bought. You did a study on that as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I did have the bride doll for a week.
Yeah.
We did a live feed every night of that week. We did a different experiment each night. We tried because apparently there was this negative energy attached to it, but we tried nice and respect to start off with. One night we turned the tables. We tried to get this nasty energy out. At the end of it, we did do a full report on our findings and our opinions.
Yeah. So did you conclude then that you thought that it wasn't haunted, or what have you found really? Is that what you come up with?
There's energy around it, but
it just didn't work for you, basically.
But that's just us.
No, yeah, exactly. I mean, I do think. Sorry, go on.
Different things.
Yeah, I think it's a case of different vibes for different people. Just because it didn't work for your vibe, it doesn't mean to say that it won't work for somebody else.
That's right.
And I think that's something that resonates through the whole of the paranormal field. Because I could go in with a specific mindset to a location and not pick up anything, but someone more open to spirit possibly could go in and have like the whole full exorcist experience, you know.
Oh, that'd be messy.
It would, but I'm so glad it's not on mine to watch, I tell you.
We have actually just had a question in the chat room from Jason Forst. Good evening, Jason. He said, I myself, this is going back to the conversation regarding Ouija. I myself am cautious about Ouija boards. Yes, I do subscribe to the theory that it is the ideometer effect that makes them work. What is your take on this, guys?
Okay, mine. They're certainly not, in my opinion, the gateway to hell, unless you want it to. I think it's your mind that actually moves the planchette. So I think it's your mind saying such and such, and that moves the planchette. So it's involuntary movement of the people doing it. But that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, I think I'm inclined to agree. However, there are times when I do think there could actually be more into it. I've used the board when it was just me and one particular person that I had only just met. And we picked up on a spirit that was connected to this person. And I knew absolutely no history on their family or anything like that, but it was coming across that it was all to do with their family and family history and secrets and in the past and stuff. And obviously I had no knowledge of this, but for them to be pushing it, it wouldn't serve any purpose, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So although I'm inclined to agree that it is more like a motor response.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, why would that work? It's just, I don't know, there could be something in it. As I said, I mean, it needs looking into, but I don't know. I'm sort of still reserved on that particular Ouija board.
I certainly think there could be more research done into these boards. And perhaps we will do that, I don't know. I do. Ouija boards have got a big part to play in the paranormal because everyone knows about them. So in my new rooms, I do intend to have a display of Ouija boards.
Yeah.
If people want to use different sorts, they're quite welcome to.
Yeah. I mean, when obviously I was talking about the Ouija boards before, I was talking in the fact that possibly using them as one of your artifacts. So you have the board in the room, but you're using other experiments to communicate with it. You're not actually having your hand on the planchette, just treating it like a basic artifact. it would still be interesting to see what you could get through that as well.
Yeah,
because
be honest,
they are quite commonly used, and it is quite a common perception that there are spirits attached to them.
Yeah.
So I don't see why you can't do that.
Yeah. To be honest, we tried using Ouija boards in my museum quite a few times, quite a number of nights, and it's not moved at all. Not even nothing.
Yeah.
Whether that's our mindset now, I don't know.
I mean, I found that when you buy a new board, it's almost like you've got to energise it in some way to start working. It's a slow progress, but once it starts getting going, you can pick it up after that and then just go straight into it. So it's almost like the board's bonding with you. Mm-hmm. And your
it's
energy
like but it's like any energy tool. You have to train it to your to the energy you want to work with at the time. Same with the tarot decks. All those kind of energy tools. You have to, prime it basically.
So would you agree then that because I don't know, say for example, I work on a particular frequency, and the board is made on another frequency, and it takes time to align those two together?
Yeah, you have to work so your energies sync together.
Yeah.
So you're not changing your energy or that energy, but you're sort of working so it symphonizes together. It's the same as crystals, but you have to, when you start off with something like an energy tool, like a Ouija board or a tarot deck or something like that, which hasn't got a necessary natural energy signature to it, you have to build that frequency for it, as it were.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's the key point to that. Whereas if you've got something that's got a natural energy signature, then that's where you have to symphonize those two together. We call it training your energies together. So you bring your energy and its energy together. Whereas when it's like I said, a brand new tool, you have to build that frequency for it because it hasn't got one. So that's a lot of mistakes people make. They get, a Ouija board and don't touch it from one thing to the next and then wonder why it doesn't work. Whether or not that's just putting your energy onto it so you can manifest that physical representation of that energy is one of those unknown questions, unknown answers at the moment. But Sam Littlejohn has actually basically said what Neil said. She said, we have tried many times to use a board in the museum and found it actually hinders communication. We find other ways of communicating that avoids direct contact with equipment. Well, my point of view on that in regards to when you're working with an artifact that's already got that energy within it, whether you want to see that as a spirit attachment or just a natural energy that's built up through use over time, what you're then doing is adding like a third person in the middle of it. So you're going, I'm going to ask the Ouija board to work with the energy of the artifact. So it's too much of a bridge, whereas you can work directly with your energy on the artifact and get a better response.
So I've always thought with the Ouija board in particular, there's a lot of people that are alive that don't want to use the board. So when they do pass and they get the opportunity to talk to the living through the board, again, they don't want to do it because it's a Ouija board. So it's sort of like they carry on their fears over on the other side.
Yeah.
And, I often take that stance. So when it doesn't work, it's like, well, maybe they don't want to communicate by the board.
Because there's that fear factor already in place,
So, we often then go onto the ghost box and other different ways of communicating. So...
But that is, like I say, that's a very different way of working with energy in regards to artifacts, which is what Neil does. You get an artifact that's got some form of energy signature, whether or not it's spirits, whatever you want to call it. The psychometry effect is what you're going for really with that. And then trying to record that with your equipment. So you're sort of, that's sort of like the difference. So to add a third medium, as it were, not medium as in person medium, but a third energy signature into the middle of that, like an energy tool into the middle of that, would sort of like complicate the energy signatures, as it were. Does that make sense? Am I making sense on that one?
Yeah, no, I can understand that. Yeah.
In my opinion, anyway. That's just my opinion.
Absolutely. And Kaz in the chat room, she also said that when the planchette starts to move on its own and no one's near it, that's when she will use one.
She would crap herself.
Yeah, I think wouldn't we all, you know?
Oh, yeah, true that.
Wasn't it in one...
That would be cool.
It would, wouldn't it? Isn't it in one of those...
That would be evidence then.
Yeah.
However, Neil, somebody you could film that, put it out there, go, look what happened. We got a Ouija board planchette moving all by itself. Someone would go, see a wire there.
Yeah,
that's right.
They would. I mean, it was already done in a movie, wasn't it? I think, wasn't it one of the Paranormal Activity movies where the planchette started moving on its own and it burst into flames?
Mm.
You know, and I mean, if they can do it, then that's what's going to be, you know, if you was to catch that, for example, that's exactly how it'd be explained. It'd be like, well, you just done it the same way they've done in the film.
Yeah, but that's why I like doing the live feeds.
Yeah.
There's no way I can. I do have the software to do that sort of thing, but I couldn't on a live feed.
Yeah.
That's another reason I've gone onto the live feeds. If something happens, I've not altered the video. I've not cut in the right place. I've not added anything.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah. So now you're going into this new premises sort of next year. Have you got any other long-term plans for your museum?
Yeah, I want to expand on the live feeds. Not only from the museum, we are going out on location to other museums. We're actually being invited to other museums as well now. Yeah, which is nice. People are recognising what we're doing, what we're trying to do. So we actually had an email from a museum in France a couple of weeks ago, inviting us over. So I'm talking to a big museum in France. I don't know where in France. It's near Paris somewhere, I think. So we might possibly go in there later this year to do a live feed from there.
Brilliant.
Cool. If there was any museum that you could go to, what would it be?
What, in the world?
Yeah.
In the world, it'd probably be Zach Bagans' museum in Las Vegas. I would love to do a series of live feeds from there, simply because his is more on the negative side. Now, I've got nothing negative in my museum at the minute. I will have eventually, but it'd be interesting to do something from there.
Do you have protection around each of the artifacts you have?
No, we don't. We don't do any protection.
Okay. So have you had anything strange occur? Because you said it was in your car porch. So has anything come into your house?
Yes, some spirits do come into the house. When I first get an antique or an item, I say, look, you're welcome to come into the house as long as you don't hurt anybody or frighten anybody. You're welcome to come in the house. And that's what Bob, who's connected to the clown, he regularly comes into the house. We've heard him go up the stairs. He likes running up the stairs. We've seen him at the top of the stairs. We've seen him actually in the museum. He plays with my grandson's toys.
Yeah.
They come in. They're not hurting anybody. And that's fine.
Okay. Cool. Well, I'm really looking forward to coming to see it. So when you're all set up in your new museum, in your new bakery building, you'll have to let us know and we'll all come down and have a look.
Yeah, of course.
We'll definitely be interested, won't we, Kerry?
Oh, gosh, yeah. We wanted to. We wanted to anyway in the carport. And the last year just seemed to run away with us, didn't it?
It did.
And before we knew it, it was over and we was like, oh, my God, it was enough.
Yeah. Have you?
It wasn't enough. It had gone. Sorry.
Yeah. Have you encountered any other haunted dolls or alleged haunted dolls?
I do have a few dolls. I'm not a big fan on dolls. I think there's lots and lots of people who have haunted dolls.
Yeah.
I wanted to do something different. I didn't want dolls, but I do have some dolls with attachments.
Yeah.
We do have one actually, which is a bit weird. We've been told that it was connected to voodoo. So we're still working on that one. So that's probably the most negative one that we've got, if it's sort of negative.
Yeah. Okay. So, once an artifact comes into your possession through whatever means, how do you go about investigating it?
Normally, the antiques I normally go to the antique centre and buy a few, so that they come in 3s and 4s. You know, I went down last Saturday and bought 3 items. I'm going again this week to pick something else up, which I'm really excited about. But you'll see that on a live feed soon. So they will initially be one of the live feeds on a Monday evening.
Okay.
That's just to see what everyone picks up on.
Right. Okay.
Because I don't know if they do have spirits attached to it. It's just that I'm drawn to this item. I don't know why. So it'll be a live feed. Then once a month, depending on which is the best or most active item, myself and the team will do a live feed when we're actually in the room.
Right.
Because
okay.
the Monday live feeds, there's no one in the room.
Yeah.
All it is the camera with the item on the table with mirrors, and I have a REM pod and a K2 and perhaps a pendulum, just to see if anything happens.
Have you picked up on anyone celebrity-wise, famous?
Not yet, but I would love to. I would love to get an item of a famous person who's passed.
Okay.
Ideally, David Bowie, because he was my hero. If I could get an item that belonged to David Bowie in my museum, I would be happy.
Oh, there you go. If anyone's got anything, send it over.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that'd be really good. Yeah. Are you gonna invite the public into the museum once it's up and running in the new venue?
I'm thinking yes. At the minute, it'll probably be open in the daytime, Saturday and Sundays, because I shall stay working. So I work full time in the week, so it'll be open Saturday and Sundays to the public. They can come in and have a look round. They can sit and see what they sense from each item if they want to. Yeah.
No, that'd be really good.
Perhaps Friday or Saturday evening, perhaps have small teams come in, see. I want it to be researched, not just for the fun of it. I want it to be researched. I want, if people come in and pick things up or sense things, I want to keep a journal, which could even materialise into a book. I don't know. But I want it to be documented, which is what we're doing. Everything gets documented, what's said and what's picked up on each item.
Yeah. I think, you could also run experiments with random groups of people. Just, you're using, say, for example, the ghost box. You could put your artifact in there, you could play the ghost box, and then give them all like a sheet of paper and ask standard questions like, what's your name, what year did you die, and all the normal standard stuff, and see what they answer, and then just see whether or not there's any patterns in that.
That's right.
I mean, that'd be quite a good experiment to run, especially with random people.
That's right.
Yeah, and as you said, you could always document it in a book as well. So, Yeah, it's a good idea. There you go. You can have that one for free.
We've got lots of ideas floating around our heads. We will get it all sorted.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Kerry, any other questions in the chat room?
Not really, but Sam again has said a chance purchase of a rag doll has been causing problems in the museum.
Yeah, that's the one I mentioned briefly earlier. It's some people we've done a live feed on it. We've also had Empathic Witch come in and work on it. We don't know if it's connected to voodoo. What we're thinking is there's a spirit attached to it who's sort of mischievous, and they're putting different things into different people's heads. So it's the picture is very confusing at the minute. So we will be doing more work on this ragdoll.
Yeah.
The interesting is when Sam first bought it, she became ill when it was in her house. Yeah. She let Maxine, I think I've got this story right, she let Maxine have it in her house. She became ill. So then they gave it to Matt and Alison. This is all the team members. Matt and Alison had it in their house and they became ill, and the dogs wouldn't go anywhere near it. Then they brought it over to me and I became ill.
Was it all the same illness?
Yeah, really drained and sickness and basically all the same. So I thought it'd be interesting to take into where I work.
As you do.
So I took it to work, left it in my office for a week, and 3 people had the rest of the week off illness.
Oh.
Is that due? Are these people the 3 then that would go into your office?
Yeah, they had been in my office. They knew nothing about the doll. They didn't even know it was there because it was hidden in the back of my office. So that's interesting.
Sure is, yeah. Maybe get someone that specialises in the occult to come in and with you and investigate this. Because they're going to know maybe a little bit more than what you might, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, if you are dealing with something that's negative, and especially with voodooism and stuff, you really need to know what you're letting yourself in for. Yeah. So maybe it might be a good idea to do that. Yeah.
Pardon?
But it's interesting.
Yeah, it's incredibly interesting. I mean, have you had a medium work with that doll?
Yeah, we had the Empathic Witch. She came in and she felt fine with it.
Did she pick anything up with that?
She picked up on a male spirit connected to it, I think, from what I can remember, but nothing bad. So this is why we're thinking, and this was a few months ago. I think that was our Halloween special. So it's been a few months.
Okay.
It's in the museum now, and everything's fine now.
Yeah.
So I think we will do more work on this ragdoll.
Yeah, sounds interesting, to be fair.
And just frisk it down for knives and things. You don't want like a little Chucky doll running around.
I'm just wondering, how much actual research do you do into each? I know it's very difficult with items as to finding out the history of where they came from and who they belong to. I know it's incredibly difficult. But in regards to like manufacture and that sort of thing, have you been able to look into that side of things? Like the age of this doll, where it may have originated from? I mean, certain dolls and stuff like that, you can actually trace right back to the manufacturer.
Yeah, we think this doll's come from America. It was manufactured over there, and it come over here, and I think it was the early 1900s. That's all we found. One. Yeah, it's really old, and it's been played with. You know, it's worn.
You can see it's not like a brand new doll.
Yeah.
Because dolls are very common in regards to use of poppets. Have you heard of poppets before?
Yeah, I've heard of that.
So it's a possibility it could have been used in that manner.
Mm.
And also, I mean, at that period of time as well, you've got the like the American Civil War and the slave trade. So it could also have that sort of connection to it as well.
Which could be the voodoo link, couldn't it? Because of the Haitians coming over.
Yeah.
Oh, it's very fascinating, isn't it?
It is. The mind boggles, doesn't it? Really?
It's like, you kind of just want to get your hands on these kind of artifacts, though, don't you?
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
And sort of see how it makes you feel, and will it have an effect or not? Because that's the thing with artifacts is, unless you get to somewhere like the museum, very rarely do you come across something that's, a collection of different things that, yes, you go to locations and things have energy and you can, try and do that with any old item. But to actually have a collection in a museum like Neil's is, which has been worked on a regular basis, you know what I mean? It's like, I'd love to have a go at, just seeing what you feel,
Yeah.
of that.
And what sort of effect as well would it all have an effect? Like, how would it transpire? Because what you're essentially doing is collecting all these little bits of energy and putting them all into one place. So you're building up the energy in that building.
Yeah, the energy is certainly building in the museum.
So it'd also be good to see what sort of effect that would have as well.
It is full. No.
But like when you move to your new premises, that's going to be really interesting to see the locational energy and how the objects react to that.
Yeah.
As well. Will they like it? Will they like being moved?
Yeah, it's interesting to see how the spirits who've been here since I first started react to the new ones as well, because they react to certain things as well.
So have you ever gone into your carport in the morning and found something has moved?
Yes.
What?
I set some marbles up a couple of nights, and they did move. See, in the new place, I'm going to set up a DVR camera system. I'm going to run that live 24 hours a day, so people can also watch that if they want to.
Is this something that's going to be like a free service that anyone can just go and not watch?
Yeah,
or
that will be free.
Okay,
probably
cool.
On YouTube.
Yeah.
So every evening I'll set up some trigger objects just to see if they move, or it'll also have a microphone in the main room so they can listen as well. Yeah.
That'd be really interesting to watch some of that. I think I'll probably be on that 24 hours a day.
Well, they did do that with, I think it was the Annabelle doll, didn't they? Or was it Robert doll? It's one of those really, really famous dolls. Yeah. They did a 24-hour watch feed on the internet once, and, nothing happened, unfortunately, in that occasion. So it would be really interesting that, particularly if you had stuff happen, you could then sort of break it down to just that time that happened, but you've got the original footage for any of your peers that want to see that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that'd be interesting today. I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, really interesting. So on your lives on Facebook, they're quite popular, aren't they?
Yeah, some Mondays I get 6,000 views. The highest I've ever had is when I had the bride doll, which is probably the story because it was on TV. Yeah. I had 72,000 views.
Wow!
For 2 nights. So obviously they just wanted to see the bride doll because they thought it was something negative. I think people like the negative side because they can watch in the comfort of their own home and see something really bad happen.
I think as well.
Or
it was
not.
It was all talked about as well, wasn't it, at that particular time?
There was a massive hype around the Bride's doll, wasn't there, at that time?
But I'm quite happy getting 6,000 views every Monday night.
That ain't bad going at all, is it?
I'm happy with that.
Especially since you've only been going, from like May last year.
Yeah.
That's really good. Yeah, onwards and upwards, eh?
Well, with the live feeds, it's not even as far back as May, is it?
No, I think I was on your show the end of May, so perhaps it was June, July time.
Yeah.
I've done 35 now, so
awesome. Really good.
Yeah, good.
So, out of all the different experiments you've tried in your live feeds, what would you say was the one thing that was most likely to have created a reaction? So, because sorry, it's my talk. You've tried lots of different things like sound frequency, haven't you, and stuff like that on your feeds.
Yeah.
Do you think anything like that has made a difference?
I think, for example, I've got some World War II helmets, so I play music. If it's a British helmet, and I've got a German helmet, I played like Vera Lynn singing songs and Churchill's speech. I think that provoked a response. So I like using sounds.
Mm-hmm.
I find it interesting when the REM pod goes off because I know the camera doesn't affect it. So that responds to some items. So
interesting. Yeah. So what in your museum gets the most activity going?
I think it's the wheelchair. It's
what sort of things happen when?
I think it's because we did a live feed with the team on the wheelchair last week.
Yeah.
It was the feelings, and we all took it in turns sitting in it because it was a live feed for the viewers a few months ago.
Yeah.
They were sensing different things, so we took it in turns sitting in it, and you could really feel the energy there. And I was sitting in it, I had my eyes shut. I could feel my left leg had gone. And I was holding the K2 in my right hand, and it was as if my right hand got paralysed, and I actually dropped the K2.
And do you know anything about the history of that chair? I mean, who owned it before you? Or
it come from a hospital down south, rehabilitation hospital during the war. So that's where it's come from. And a lot of people picked up on soldiers. But it's not just one person. Obviously, that wheelchair would have been used by dozens and dozens of different people.
Yeah. So you couldn't sort of narrow it down to one particular user, for example, or
no. And I think that's why different people picked up on different people.
Yeah. Did you let the information go that it had come from a rehabilitation hospital?
No, I didn't tell
beforehand.
I don't tell anybody what I know about the item before the live feed.
Right. Okay. I'm just wondering whether or not that's why they decided that it was going to be soldiers, because it sort of goes hand in hand, doesn't it? Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Something else that interested during our live feed last week is we've actually got SLS camera now as well.
Oh yeah.
And we some people call it stick man, don't they? And we actually picked up. We got footage of a stick man on the wheelchair.
Okay.
Which is interesting because there was no one there.
Did the stick man have all its limbs though?
Yeah. But it was the size of a boy, and we know there's a boy Bob in the museum. We also know there's a girl in the museum and an older gentleman in the museum, and
Yeah.
So we're thinking it was one of the children actually trying to sit in the chair. We're just guessing there, but it looked the size of a child.
Yeah.
But
That's interesting.
Who's to say a child hadn't sat in the chair in the hospital?
Well, yeah, there is that as well, but then you can't really rule that out specifically because, as you said, you've got the children in your museum, so they're gonna have some sort of effect on it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you can't really rule that out, I suppose. Sadly. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I'm not. Although I've seen these cameras working and stuff, I'm not still convinced that they're picking up spirit. Sometimes they have trouble picking me up. I just think that sort of technology isn't quite adapted for the use that we need it for. If that makes sense. Not yet. I think it needs a little bit more work first, and then
we are working. We are actually working on ours, and we're making changes to it soon.
Yeah, that'd be good.
We've got some ideas, so we are going to change it. Matt is also working on a new piece of equipment for us, which is going to be interesting. Which is probably deals with the frequencies. I'm interested in the different frequencies.
Is this something that you're going to be putting out on the live feeds as well?
We will eventually.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
it'd be interesting to see, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, it's work in progress at the minute.
That's it. That's the best way of doing it. Just coming up with all these ideas and putting them into practice. If they work, they work. If they don't, at least you know you're barking up the wrong tree.
Right.
And that's really the way forward. That's the way we've got to go, I think, and just share the information. Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah. So it's all good. Definitely. Is there any more questions or anything in the chat room?
No. As Sam said, it was a very handcrafted doll. Going back to the doll, rag doll, it was a handcrafted doll that they traced back to the 1900s, the previous owner, which is basically what Neil says. So, yeah, it's. I find the whole subject of the haunted object incredibly fascinating on so many different levels, really, because you get the ones that are hyped up to the max. Yeah. Like recently we've talked about the haunted bride doll and that kind of thing. But energy that's held in objects is something that's been known for years since gypsy times. Think of psychometry they used to do by holding wedding rings and sort of doing readings in that way. So when you think of it in those terms, I find the whole topic incredibly interesting to look at, really, because it's an inanimate object, usually something that isn't natural, it's been made and didn't have an energy signature to then absorb its environmental energy or person's energy onto it, that then you're then tuning in to read. I find that side of things incredibly fascinating.
I think it's just a mobile version of the stone tape theory, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, but there's nothing there for the energy to attach to generally, unless it's made out of natural.
I think maybe on a molecular scale, everything is sort of an element of salts. So maybe it's on a molecular scale that it's attaching and absorbing energy.
Or is it more down to, obviously when you're playing with a doll, you're transferring your DNA and your sweat and tears and, the same as the wheelchair, that person probably would have bled on it and sweated on it and God knows what else on it. Do you know what I mean? All those different people. So could it be more to do with that kind of thing that's the transference onto it? Imagine like those World War II helmets, the trauma and the emotion and stuff that you would have gone through, the fear, all those different emotions that person is going through whilst wearing that.
But then equally,
transferring onto an object.
Equally, it could be nothing to do with that at all. And say, for example, a child, he's got fond memories of a teddy bear that he used to play with. So when he in spirit, if he, I don't know, he wants to play with his teddy bear, he goes to his teddy bear.
Yeah, and that doesn't matter where that teddy bear is, whether that's moved on through families or into a museum, for example.
It's a link. It's
still
a memory
that
link.
Yeah, it's a memory link. Who knows? But it's a fascinating area of discussion and research. You know what I mean? Because how many times say, yeah, well, you know, we have got something here. It tends to be linked to that object.
Yeah.
You know, or I mean, there's a massive one. There's a touring museum in America that's incredibly well followed. Not Zach's, it's a different one. It's run by, oh gosh, I can't remember the name of it. I think it's just called the Travelling Occult Museum.
Okay.
And they're massive, absolutely massive. And they've got some amazing objects that
I think a lot
they
of
have
people
activity too.
A lot of people are interested in the occult and the strange and the unknown, and that's what makes them popular.
And the weird circumstances that seem to happen around these objects as well. You know, things that the synchronicities and the coincidences, I think people would say, you know, the strange occurrences that seem to happen around these types of objects. I find the whole topic incredibly interesting. I mean, as I say, this, like Zach's museum in Las Vegas had a huge amount of interest in it. I mean, the fact that some of the objects he's got in there, he's got a Durback box, hasn't he, Neil?
Yes, I think he has. I think Zach's gone for more the negative side.
He does love a demon. Demon. Demon.
Don't talk about demons.
He does love one, though, you got to admit it.
Yeah, but then let's face it. I mean, is he? I think more people would go to see his museum simply because he's there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but is he going to be there though? Really?
I don't know.
He actually is there a lot.
Is he?
Yeah. And Aaron's there a lot as well.
Okay.
Well, there you go. That's it. Solved that one.
Las Vegas, here we go.
I've not been there yet. So if Zach's listening tonight...
Yeah,
Zach.
We all want an invite.
Yeah, Zach, we want to come and see your museum for free. Come and fly us all over, yeah, Neil?
Yeah, we'll do a radio show on it.
While Neil does a live feed.
Yeah.
I think there's different reasons why spirits attach themselves to objects. For example, with Bob and his clown, his clown is the only thing Bob has ever had in his life. You know, he was in an orphanage, he was getting away from his mother, and he loves his clown so much that he will always return to his clown. He goes off other places, but he always returns to his clown. Things like the war helmet and the wheelchair, I think the people who sat in it or wore it have left some of their energy attached to these items, and that it's the energy that they've left in them that we're tapping into, because energy never goes. It's always there. It's a constant. So I think there's different reasons why certain things are haunted.
Yeah.
Is the right word.
So what's the oldest thing you've got in your museum?
I think the oldest is probably a Victorian doctor's bag at the minute.
Okay.
Yeah, which is interesting. But on Friday, I'm picking up a Victorian mourning cloak, which is what a lady would have worn at a funeral.
Yeah.
So I think that will probably be the oldest on Friday.
Yeah. I think maybe on one of your live feeds, maybe you could do a Victorian seance with some of your Victorian paraphernalia actually on the table. That might be quite an interesting one to look at.
Yeah, we are going to do that once we move into this new house, because these new rooms, because one of the rooms is just perfect for a seance, and that's going to be the live feed. That it will be the live feed room. So we're going to have hopefully a round table, and like I say, we will do the Victorian.
That'd be really interesting to see that unfold.
Mhm.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I totally agree. Agree. That would be very interesting. But there's so many different things you can do. Like you say, it literally lends itself to the Singapore theory, you know, like you said before about bringing in like the sounds, you know, of World War II or World War One kind of sounds coming through. And it really does lend itself to that kind of experiment, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's endless what we can do. And the number of items that we can get is endless. So it's we're all very excited by it. I'm just going to sign this week, and we're going to move.
Fantastic.
That'd be awesome.
Go for a big sale then.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I'm so glad it's all coming to fruition, and it's going really well. Yeah.
Can I just plug my page?
Yeah, sure, go for it.
So people can watch it. If anyone's interested in watching the live feeds, they are every Monday evening at 8 o'clock on the Haunted Antiques Museum Facebook page. Just go in and watch it, and also check out the Para Angels Facebook page. They're the guys who make up my team. I've known them many, many years. We work really, really well together. Each of the team have got their own special sort of talent. One picks up and smells, one sees colours and that sort of thing. So as a team, it couldn't be better.
If you send me over the links for your shows, because I know you create events for the live feed. If you send me over a few of those on Mondays, I could share them onto the page, and people can have a look. Yeah.
I've just shared the group into the chat room as well.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, we'll do all we can to promote, and
thanks.
Yeah, it'd be good.
Of course, you're always welcome to come down when we've moved in.
Yeah, fantastic.
We'll definitely be taking you up on that offer.
Indeed.
We said this last time, but we're definitely going to do that.
I remember you saying that last time.
We're going to plan a road show.
Honestly,
got to be done.
We're going to have to, because we get, you know what it's like though. You get caught up in the studio for 6 nights a week, and what with everything else that we do as well, sometimes time runs away with us. But we've got lots of plans for this year, and we do want to visit your museum definitely, and do a live feed from there, I feel.
Yeah, that'd be really good.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Indeed. But sadly, we have come to the end of the show. So just give us a rundown of what's happening next week, Kerry.
Okay.
Well, the rest of this week, even.
Yeah, the rest of this week. You're on next week already, aren't you, babes?
I am, yeah.
Tomorrow evening at 9 p.m, we have Haunted History Show with Penny G. Morgan. She's talking to Bill Taboni regarding forts of Australia. He's got such a great voice, that man. And then on Thursday, we've got the Spectral Zone with our beautiful Kazrooni. She's talking to a guy called Sean Weston, so that's always interesting. Friday night, the Dark Mirror Paranormal Show. We're talking trolls. We're talking trolls on the Dark Mirror Show on Friday. Oh, you've got to love a wacky topic on a Friday. Then on Sunday evening at 9 p.m, the Spirit Dimension, we have got Mr. William Becker in the studio talking about elementals, who's a fantastic, I love William, so I'm very, very much looking forward to that one. And awesome. So that's what we've got coming up for the rest of this week at the moment.
Next week I haven't planned just yet.
You're getting very bad at this. What
I'm looking.
Calling you last minute Joe.
No, what I'm doing, I'm trying to look for hot topics and see if there's any arguments brewing, and I wanna tackle the hard, tough subjects that everyone's talking about now. So I want to plan and look at that. That's what I want to do before I actually decide what I'm doing for next week.
Oh, God. I love that. Flying by the seat of our pants kind of shows, Paul.
Absolutely. They're the best shows, though, aren't they, I think?
Well, I have an idea then, but I'll talk to you about it later.
Awesome. I look forward to that. Yeah. Anyway, thank you, Neil, for joining me again tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure, as always. And I'm really pleased it's going well for you, and definitely going to take you up on that and come down and visit you at some point. I want to thank everyone in the chat room for joining us. It's been brilliant as always, and thank you for your interaction and your questions and stuff. And hopefully we shall see you all again next week. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to join us for more shows throughout the week. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and the World Wide Web to keep up to date with all the shows right here on Parasearch Radio.